My name is Mark. I'm 29 years old, and I live in New York City. I work as a food delivery driver, mostly late nights to make ends meet. The money is decent, and the job is simple, but I've seen some strange things over the years. None of that compared to what happened one night in the middle of winter. It still haunts me. It was a typical night, orders coming in one after another. Around 11 p.m., I got a delivery request from an apartment complex in a rough part of town. The place had a reputation for being sketchy, but I wasn't worried. I've dealt with it before. When I arrived, though, something felt off right away. The building seemed deserted. No lights in the windows, no sounds, no movement, just an eerie stillness. I walked up to the door, food in hand, and knocked. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time, and that's when the door creaked open slightly. Just a crack. I could see a dim light flickering inside, casting long shadows across the floor. Every instinct told me to leave, but I was curious. Maybe someone was inside and just couldn't hear me. I pushed the door open a little further and stepped inside. The air was thick with a metallic smell that I couldn't place at first. As my eyes adjusted to the low light, I saw a figure in the middle of the room. A man tied to a chair, his head slumped forward. Blood dripped slowly from his body onto the floor. He was unconscious, maybe worse. My heart started racing. I wanted to run, but my feet were frozen in place. I could hear my own breathing getting faster and faster. I turned to leave, but before I could move, someone grabbed me from behind. A firm, cold grip on my shoulder. I didn't even have time to scream. A voice whispered in my ear, chilling me to the bone. "You weren't supposed to see this." I felt my stomach drop. I tried to pull away, but the grip tightened. I don't know how I found the strength, but I managed to break free. I stumbled backward, almost falling over as I bolted for the door. I could hear the man behind me, his footsteps quick and heavy, but somehow I made it out of the apartment and down the stairs. I didn't stop running until I was blocks away. My mind was spinning. What had I just seen? Who were those people? I knew I had to call the police, but I was terrified. What if they came after me? Eventually, I forced myself to dial 911. When the police arrived at the building, I waited outside, my hands shaking. I could barely describe what had happened. The officers went in to investigate, but when they came back out, they told me the apartment was completely empty. No body, no blood, nothing. It was like the place had been wiped clean. They must have thought I was crazy. But I know what I saw. The police searched the building and surrounding area for hours. But there was no sign of the man tied to the chair or the person who had grabbed me. The only thing left in that apartment was a small pool of blood, barely noticeable on the floor. I never heard anything else about the case. No follow-up calls, no news reports, nothing. It was as if the whole thing had never happened, but I can't forget it. I still have nightmares about that night, the man in the chair, the voice whispering in my ear. Every time I walk past that building now, I feel a chill run down my spine. I quit delivering to that part of town after that. No amount of money is worth what I went through. Every time I get an order late at night, I can't help but remember. And I wonder, what if I hadn't escaped?